think the key to our apprenticeship programme is that we invest a lot of time and energy into it. We're not only training for our business, we're also doing a lot of work with city and guilds and industry partners to ensure that the training that we have going forward is fit for purpose. As well as my day-to-day role, I'm also chairing several apprenticeship trailblazer groups. So we're designing and building apprenticeship standards for the future that meet employer needs. So we're right at the forefront of ensuring that apprenticeships in the marine industry going forward are fit for purpose and things that young people hopefully will want to achieve.
It's very important to keep skills in the industry, and it was something that in the old days was extremely well known. I think it was 10,000 hours always for an apprenticeship, and my great-grandfather certainly had plenty of apprenticeships. This year we're celebrating our 100th anniversary, so to 2018, from 1918 when my great-grandfather bought the boatyard, and we've been employing apprentices ever since then.
The apprenticeship is definitely the best way to learn for me because I learn by doing hands-on, not sat in a classroom. The best part of my day is probably working with a team on a refit because they let you talk to the other guys about what you're doing, you get help, and it's just good to work in a team.
I've always liked sailing and boats and being more practical with everything, so I decided to go down the path of a marine engineer. My favourite part of my job is all the engine work and all the practical hand skills and learning on the job.
Key skills so far, learning so working on my own independently. That's helped massively, not just in job, out of my job as well. 100%, yeah, doing an apprenticeship, definitely. It's probably the best way of learning, experience on the job. It's by far the best thing I've done.
Berthon's a good company to work for because it's a good team, everyone's really friendly and you feel involved and needed.
Hi, welcome. That was a fantastic video from Berthon there. I'd just like to welcome Brian May. He's the Managing Director at Berthon and also one of the apprentices, Aidan. I'm aware that Berthon are a family-run business based here on the South Coast, and they're involved in all areas of the maritime industry. I'm also aware that they've got an absolutely fantastic apprenticeship programme. So if you have any questions at all, please type it into the text box. And we'll ask those questions at the end of the session. So Brian, over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. As I said in the video, we believe in apprenticeships fundamentally, and it's a course that you should take, which is learning with your hands. We've had a lot of ABC students who would otherwise have been pushed into A-levels and have actually preferred to learn with their hands rather than just sitting in a classroom, and actually it gives them a head start for better things in the future, whether you move on to management as well. We take on all of our apprentices if we can at the end of the period, and it's by having a team of, let's say, 10 a year is what we aim at. It means that the people who turn up that year, there's a little team between them because they've all come at the same time. But they're also helped very much so by the other apprentices. We provide a 4-year course, and because we don't have a production line per se, although we do build boats new, at the moment we're building Gemini ribs new. We've built 40 lifeboats in the last 25 years. And we've built some ASVs, autonomous surface vehicles, recently. Most of the work we do is based around diagnosis, because we're a support and service and refit and repair yard. So by having that, we have to send apprentices down with obviously their mentors to have a look at what the problem is on a boat. They then have to diagnose that problem and then come up with a solution. But then after that, they then need to actually execute what the solution might be and then make sure it goes to work by doing trials. It's a whole process. It's an iterative process. They're learning as they go along. And at the end of we do have a 4-year period for training. And at the end of that period, they're highly skilled across the board, whether it is involved in engineering, and certain people might find that they want to be like Steph was there in the video, going into the engine side of things, but others might prefer doing what do you call it, welding. I'm just going to shut a window. Somebody in the boatyard's obviously working hard underneath the window. And the same with the shipwrights. Sometimes they might be interested in composites, and other times in woodwork. But we'll train everybody in all of them. And then as they morph and they understand what they prefer, then because we're big enough, we have enough ability to push them down at the road at which they want to be pushed down. Which will helps down, as it were. At the moment, we have 30 apprentices. We have 10 in the first year, and fewer as they get older. Sometimes people fall out for different reasons, and it's unfortunate that we do miss them. But it could be for any type of reason, and in a way, we take on more than we think we need. Because there's such a big, how do you call it, demand for attention on the internet nowadays with the digital thing, that some people pull out. We think it's a great shame if people pull out halfway through, because when you've finished, you have a job for life, you have a skill for life, you have a certificate, and basically anybody will take you on. So it's a really important alternative way of carrying on with your education, whether you're 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, or in the mid-20s. We're quite happy taking on mature apprentices as well as the younger ones. And we're set up here to look after you. But it's not just us, it's the rest of the marine industry and other industries as well. Engineering is engineering, but there are slight differences between engineering with a car and engineering with a boat. Do you have any other questions for me, Nikki, or should I pass it on to Aidan?
So I was going to say, do you want to say a bit about Berthon as a company?
Berthon has been around since 1877, when the Reverend Berthon invented a folding collapsible boat to protect passengers on a packet ship that had foundered from Liverpool to Glasgow. And it was a very clever boat that folded. It was made out of flax, 2 skins, and it would fold up and you put it on the deck. Unfortunately, it didn't actually get used until after the Titanic sank in 1913 or 12. But the business carried on because a lot of their boats were sent off overseas for expeditions, and also in the army they used them to make Bailey bridges and things like that. So it had a lot of background and history, and my great-grandfather bought the boatyard in 1918, having bought a Berthon Boat Company from Rumsey previously, put the two together and moved from Hythe, where there's still a boatyard, and that boatyard there was originally called Morgan Giles and May, and then May Harden and May, and we were building the Felixstowe flying planes back in the early 1900s. So we have a lot of skills that go back a long way, and during the World Wars we built various boats that were used, motor gun boats, motor torpedo boats, motor fishing vessels that were used in the Caribbean and in the Mediterranean. And nowadays we still carry on working for the MOD, the SBS, the SAS, as well as doing commercial work for fisheries. And we've been working recently for fisheries and patrol boats for, let's say, Gibraltar. For those of you that know your geography well, Diego Garcia, which is a remote island halfway between Africa and India in the Indian Ocean, and also St. Helena fisheries boat. It took the boat 4.5 months to get here and 3.5 months to get back. So he had to take a ship down to Cape Town, and then the Cape Town post vessel goes to St. Helena, which is the most remote island in the world on the way to the Falkland Islands from South Africa. And we do a lot of leisure work as well. On boats, we've got 32 meter motorboats here at the moment, and a big Delta 88 in the sheds. And we sell a lot of boats. We sell boats all over the world, from offices in France, Spain, Sweden, and in America. And so we have a lot of throughput of foreign boats and boats that go off cruising, blue water cruising boats. Somebody will come and buy a boat here, do a refit, take it around the world, bring it back, sell it to someone else, we sell it to someone else, and then we do another refit, and then they go off around the world again. So there's a lot of skills here for people who want to trust what we're doing, and a lot of ability to get to sea as well. We've sent a lot of people out, and we've even had trips back from New Zealand to Tahiti to Panama to Antigua, and then Antigua to the UK. And we had another apprentice called Taylor Lightbourne. She was a shipwright apprentice who ended up going to the Arctic Circle on a boat as well. So there's the ability to get to sea, and we think it's a good thing for our chaps to know, and our women to know how to go to sea, and whether the work there being done is appreciated not only by the owners, but they appreciate the strong storms that the work has to be put through.
That's lovely, Brian. Thank you for giving us such an insight into the history of the company, but also the sort of different aspects of maritime that you're involved in. It sounds like on your apprenticeship program that your apprentices get a lot of responsibility right from the beginning. So maybe you'd like to introduce Aidan, and he can talk about his journey.
Yeah, Aidan is one of our first year apprentices, and it's been a rather disruptive year for them, as you can well imagine. Just about when they all turned up from being at college in February, barely a month later, they were all sent home. But Aidan is so enthusiastic, he carried out a number of home jobs, building and unbuilding and refitting various engine-based things. And I will let him tell you, because he'll be doing it far better than me. I'm a managing director, I'm not an engineer. Aidan, go ahead.
So yeah, I've always liked engineering. So over lockdown, I bought multiple projects, old motorbikes, things like that, and stripped them down. Applied what I'd used, learned at college and at Berthon, and then used it to build them back together and get them running again. But so yeah, it's been good time. But unfortunately, as soon as we came back, like Brian said, we were sent home. But getting back on track now, as we've been sent back to work, and it's been amazing.
So what are you doing at the moment?
So at the moment, I'm working on some military boats, the P2000s, nice big boat, and they've been having a refit. We just got one in the water, doing some tests on it, getting it ready to go. So it's been very good.
That's fantastic. And while you were at home, you were doing these projects which we didn't set for you. You won a prize, didn't you?
Yes, I won the Lady Hamlin Bursary Award, which candidates, apprentices from around the UK applied for, and so did I, and managed to get through to the interview stage. interviewed with them, and then got an email a week or two later saying I'd won the award, which is amazing. Good to put on the CV.
That's fantastic. I mean, obviously, we were very proud of the fact that you were working outside the box, as it were, and we try and teach everybody to think outside the box, because if you're diagnosing something, you need to figure out what it is and why it's being caused, rather than just solving the problem and it coming back again. And I think that's what you were awarded the prize for. There was a little bit of money that came with it as well, and of course some kudos, wasn't there?
Sorry, you're gonna have to say that again, Brian.
There was a little bit of money
hard
that
to
came
hear.
with the award, wasn't there? Did you get some money?
Sorry, 1 second, Brian. Try that again, sorry.
There was a bit of cash that came with the award, wasn't there?
Yes, I won £1,000, which I put towards my ferry costs, because I travel from the island every day, and then the rest I put towards tools. So I've got a nice toolkit now and a toolbox.
Well done. So I think that's absolutely marvellous, and it shows how dedicated you are to your trade. And one of the biggest things is getting a toolbox, so you've got every tool to use for everything and to be efficient. And that enthusiasm is fantastic. And we really look forward to you becoming a fantastic engineer here. Nikki, have you got anything else for us?
Yes, there's no questions coming through on the chat, but if it's okay with you, Aidan, can I ask, what do you find the best bit of your apprenticeship?
So I loved how pretty much straight from the beginning we were hands-on, whereas if I'd gone down the other route of uni, A-levels and that sort of thing, it'd be a long time before I could actually get hands-on learning. And I work a lot better and I enjoy it a lot more being hands-on. So that's what I especially love. The responsibility and the know-how. It's been amazing.
And during
Berthon are obviously a very supportive company, taking 10 apprentices in sort of year one, and now having 30 apprentices in total. So if anybody was thinking about applying for an apprenticeship, what sort of qualifications do you think they would need to apply at the beginning?
So I think as a starter, you need to be kind of able to not get on with other people, but enjoy being around other people and working with them, because it's a very kind of close-knit group and of engineers and that. And I'd say you definitely need to like being hands-on. So if you like working on boats, getting your hands dirty, fixing things and problem solving, it's definitely a good route to go down.
That's lovely, thank you, and many congratulations on winning your award, because that must have been a real confidence boost for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was.
And Brian, can I just ask, do you have any real success stories of apprenticeships that you'd like to share with us before we leave?
Yes, we've had a number. You saw in the video how many of our staff have been apprentices, our skilled staff, and quite a lot of our managers were apprentices. And we are working very hard, or have been, on the trailblazers to make the new standards, because, of course, as you all know, and the younger generation won't know, that the syllabuses for marine and various other apprenticeships were woefully out of date. And so Keith Longman, who is our yard manager and an apprentice ambassador, has been leading the marine industries, trailblazers, to set up new courses, and Aidan's on one of those new courses from the engineering side, and we've introduced into that course a whole lot of practical pathways which are absolutely vital to setting them up for learning more than they would otherwise do or have done in the past, including a transition eventually, hopefully, to a level 4 rather than just a level 3 course, which would start on the management side of things. The important thing about these new standards is that they're very relevant today to today's modern materials, such as composites, spray painting, and various other bits and pieces. And we also do a course called Lean Management. So it's all about productivity and efficiency, as well as sending them out on an RYA day course to learn how to drive boats and the basics, so that they can crew on sea trials and things like that. None of these were part of the process. And it's actually a much more wider skill set that we provide at the end of the 4-year period for apprentices in the marine industry now. And with apprenticeships, sorry, with the marine industry in the Solent LEP area being so crucial to the whole of this area, from stuff as large as cruise ships and in Southampton, ferries in Portsmouth, and the naval base in Portsmouth as well, all the way down to all the leisure yachts that are on the 25,000 odd leisure yachts that are in the Solent area. So it is a massive amount of diversification that people could end up in. And going back to a question you've asked before, we do occasionally lose people that want to go off and do either a world trip or go into super yachts or go into other parts of the marine industry, and we always welcome them back if they feel like they want to come back in their local area, whether it be Lymington that they grew up in or whether they just enjoyed being in Lymington when they did their apprenticeship. But we've always taken apprentices back if we were sad to lose them in the first place. So it's in a way we take on more apprentices than we need. One, because it means that if we lose people for whatever reason there could be, it could be someone's wife has got to go next and live next to their parents because the parents are not well, and so the husband has to go well with the family and everything else. You know, there are all sorts of reasons why people could leave a business. It just gives us a pool of labor which is has been well trained by us. And that's the most important thing, because they should be doing it the Berthon way and not necessarily the way that they're being taught somewhere else. And that means that our warranty and guarantees are very valid. And we have very rare claims.
Absolutely, thank you very much. You know, I think it's quite amazing that the maritime sector accounts for something like 95% of the UK's global trade. So it just shows what an important sector it is. And finally, just to finish up, can I just ask, do you have a specific time of year that you take your apprenticeships in?
Yes, we take them in at the beginning of the calendar, the academic year. So but what we do is we start recruiting in February. And the thing to do is to go onto our website, www.berthon.co.uk, and there are forms, application forms there if anybody wants to do that. And there are sometimes that we do work experience from local colleges for half a day, during a period that goes beyond February. So that people can understand what it's about, as well as making sure you've understood what the process is. So we start pretty early, and we hope that by Easter we've made a decision on the number of people we're going to be taking in. We started to bring up a Berthon Academy recently, and that got delayed by COVID. So maybe in a year's time we'll carry on with that. We've got the raw outlines for it, and it was pretty much agreed. So we don't see why there shouldn't be a reason for a Berthon Academy to not be there in future. And that's a sort of process which would pit people against each other to get to become an apprentice at Berthon.
That's great, Brian. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us today. I look forward to hearing more about the Academy in due course. And for Aidan, I just wanted to say good luck for the rest of your apprenticeship, and I wish you the very best for your future career. It sounds like you have a really firm foundation. So thank you both very, very much for joining us today. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Nikki.
Bye-bye.
Bye.